So one of the things that I want to start doing is I want to try to not argue too much in the comment section. I like to argue, but not from a malicious perspective. I just like to put my opinion out there. I like to see if we can distill truth. I am opinionated, yes, and I usually will just hold my own and stand my ground as long as my conviction and the evidence available tells me that actually what I think about a certain issue is the correct thing, or at least close to the truth, because I have the evidence and the data to follow it. Usually, when you make videos pointing out PlayStation's business strategy and flaws, you're going to get some pushback because for many people, I don't know if it's a matter of just wanting to believe otherwise or possibly not wanting to embrace the data or follow it where it leads, you will get pushback. So rather than actually be arguing in the comment section, why don't we actually unveil what the data and the evidence is so that people can just make up their minds themselves? But I'll go ahead and show you a comment that I saw just recently. So shout out to Face23BKNY who put this on my channel. I wanted to go ahead and see if we can actually point to the evidence that's available to possibly answer your questions. Now, this person said in my last video where I said PlayStation's secret weapon was actually being more consumer friendly and also bring in their games day and dates to PC. Those were the two secret weapons that I highlighted in this video. And this person responded and said, VG Flight School, I'm not a flight teacher, but whatever. Sony does not need to follow Microsoft's strategy. Microsoft had to pivot because they couldn't compete in traditional console space, hence Game Pass was created and putting games on PC day one. Number one, my argument was not that Sony needed to follow Microsoft's strategy. Microsoft's Xbox had always been putting their games, for the most part, on PC, depending. Yes, they tried to put some games on their Xbox platform exclusively, eventually before moving them to PC, because software sales is also very crucial. Hardware sales is critical, and even though this person says could not compete in the traditional console space, I think what they mean is in console sales, because Sony had that name in the 360, I said the 360, in the PS4, generation. It seemed like PlayStation had just overtaking them. PlayStation games sell well, yes. PS Plus will come everywhere, but not day and date games for a long time. If Microsoft is doing so well, being pro-consumer with day one and PC games, why don't Microsoft release subscription numbers and how many subscribers they have for Game Pass? They stopped doing that. Now, there's a lot here. So what this person is arguing, saying is, if Microsoft is being so consumer friendly, which we all know they are, you cannot argue against that. You would have to literally sit here and tell me that Xbox Game Pass is not consumer friendly at the price point and at the value that it actually provides. Ladies and gentlemen, this is usually how it goes, right? You see these arguments, they will come out and they'll try to throw a little bit of this disparity down, the drain, saying, oh, this is Game Pass. Like, is it really that consumer friendly? The answer is simply, objectively, yes, it is. It has a huge library of video games that many of them are going to stay. I mean, they're not going anywhere. They belong to Microsoft. Bethesda's, games and Activision games are coming to the platform. And anything else that they can get their hands on with a budget of $1 billion to acquire these titles to their subscription service. That's number one. Number two, PlayStation themselves, in their leaked report, admitted that Game Pass provides immeasurable value because of its capability to deliver day and date. So this is the evidence that we're going through, right? So first of all, the evidence that is right before us, like you can open up Game Pass, you can look at the library of games. It is very consumer friendly. It has everything that a consumer would need. In fact, if you have Game Pass on console and the game is available on PC, you can play pretty much anywhere. If you use Ultimate, you have access to cloud gaming for a very good price, a better value than what PlayStation Plus can offer. Now, let's go ahead and look at exactly the words, okay? Exactly the words that PlayStation themselves use when actually talking about Game Pass. They said this: Activision, which is basically the acquisition of Activision because of the Game Pass day and date, provides incredible strategic value across live service game scale in mobile. This is pretty much something that they understand, that because of the acquisition and bringing these games to Game Pass pretty soon, that value is now incredible. It was already there, but it's now incredible. So the subscription model is going to pillage everything that PlayStation has. And the only way they can pivot is moving to PC. It is not exclusively a strategy that is relegated to Xbox. It is a strategy that is necessary for them to thrive. Because again, in their own report, and Phase 2-3 BKNY, if you have not read these reports, I suggest you take time to go and read them. They will inform you so that we're not necessarily in this tit for tat back and forth, so that everybody kind of knows where things are. They go ahead and say Microsoft can supply multi-game subscription 50% on the subscription model, 50% to console, and 60% to PC. And right underneath it, they say Sony's pillars are already dated and behind the competition. So you saying that Sony should not need to follow this day and date model, basically you're arguing with these analysts saying, no, Sony, you're doing fine. So maybe you know something within Sony's PlayStation ecosystem that even the analysts in Sony don't know. I'm a little bit, shocked as to how we're concluding this. Or maybe a lot of people have not seen this data. Maybe that is actually exactly what it is. Maybe we need to keep talking about this so that more folk in the, ecosystem are informed as to exactly what's going on. And I know you also asked about Game Pass's subscriber counts because you said they eventually stopped showing those numbers. That is a very, very good question. PlayStation also stopped showing the numbers. Does this mean, according to you, that PlayStation's numbers are not doing so well? Well, you can't necessarily apply that principle across the board, but in order for us to actually be a little bit, on the side of benefit of doubt, let me show you the last official numbers that we got for Game Pass, because it's actually out there. Did you know this? Maybe you didn't. So here is what we have as concrete evidence as to very direct numbers of Game Pass's subscribers. This came about by some earnings revelation that was actually, buried within a regulatory board in Brazil, their annual report. So what it was this. Apparently, Microsoft has been pretty secretive about its Xbox revenues from Game Pass, but recent investigations from Brazil's competition authority revealed that Game Pass generated $3 billion in 2021. Since then, we now know that after Starfield was released, according to the earnings call that was done by Satya Nadella to the shareholders, that Starfield brought in more record subscribers for Game Pass. That number is unknown, but the estimates are anywhere from 3, maybe 4 million Game Pass subscribers. But even if we discounted all of that and we said, okay, based on cycling, people's unsubscribing and subscribing over the past few years since 2021, and that number did not even shift, it is known that after they had revealed the number of subscribers they had about 25 million subscribers on the platform. So even if that number did not shift, and even if what they had at the time that this report was done, which was actually basically unveiled because it wasn't intended to be, Game Pass is still bringing in $3 billion annually. Phil Spencer mentioned recently that it cost them $1 billion to acquire these video games. So Game Pass is sitting on about, maybe close to $2 billion of money that we don't really know what they're doing with. Maybe if they say infrastructure, maybe if they say, hosting the games, maybe they say put some money to cloud, and Game Pass probably has another extra $1 billion sitting there, and they also own Activision on top of that. If this is the standard that we're going to use, then you already see why the leaked documents from PlayStation's analytics and analysis is basically one of them showing that they need to move to a specific direction. Where else are they going to go? What else do they need to sell? Software. Because they're selling hardware. Yes, they're selling them in huge numbers. But the software is not necessarily doing well, nor is it going out the box. So what Microsoft, tactfully did was they went the subscription route. Yes, they subverted the entire hardware sale route, which is, in my opinion, something that was quite smart. Risky, but it was smart. But at the end of the day, PlayStation is not necessarily willing to do the subscription model as well as something that would give value. And also, they don't even have the library of games to pull that off. A lot of their games are one and dones. They don't have extra engagement. They don't have all kinds of other stuff that you would see in Microsoft's library. So it's kind of difficult for them. If you even go look at their April analysis that got leaked with Insomniac, you'll see that their attach rate on their single player games in the subscription model are low. So at the end of the day, the next pivot is either they go to the mobile platform or they actually sell more software. Seeing that the software sales are not really hitting the mark, especially when it comes to the cost of production, it makes sense to sell more software to another party that's willing to buy it. I would almost dare say that they may start looking at even coming to Xbox if the situation gets dire. So before they can actually, go to the Xbox side, it will mean swallowing a lot of pride. PC is the sensible and logical place that they need to be day one. Even their analyses say that. I make my case. I put my data in front of you. Put your data in front if you want to maybe go ahead and dispute this. And we'll basically make a video about it so that everybody is aware. This is educational so people can understand where the market is going and so they can actually make good decisions or good, purchasing decisions for themselves. Thanks for watching the video. Appreciate y'all. We'll talk soon. Peace out.